others to be tolerant towards them when they hold no tolerance towards others. I was just reading an article in the news whereby this person in Australia went to a pub and he was wearing a Trump cap, and they asked him to leave. And the reason they asked him to leave was because the pub itself was promoting some pride event, and the people within the pub felt very uncomfortable that he was wearing a Trump cap. So I find this absolutely fascinating that people don't want someone to wear a Trump cap, possibly because Trump appears not to be tolerant towards them, and at the same time, they're displaying intolerance towards a supporter of Trump. It just doesn't make sense. When we're intolerant towards others, we're breeding more intolerance. It reminds me of a time many years ago when I was at King's Cross and I was at a bar, and this was a gay bar, and I was there with my then husband, and we decided to share a kiss. And the barman walked up to us and said to us, "Sorry, that kind of behaviour is unacceptable here." All we were doing was sharing a kiss, and he kicked us out. This is the very first time that I've ever been kicked out of a bar. So I found it fascinating that the groups of people that are targeted by others are the ones most likely to then target others. It's incredible that you will go and do the behavior that has been done to you. Does that make sense? How on earth can we create a society where we are tolerant of one another, we are supportive of one another, we are compassionate towards one another, and yet we're not tolerant towards those people that don't hold our beliefs? I heard someone say the other day, maybe it would have been better if Trump was assassinated. And I couldn't believe what I heard. Is this supposed to be a compassionate point of view because you don't agree with Trump's point of views that are not compassionate? It just doesn't make sense. The whole purpose of different belief systems is that we're being tested to be tolerant of one another's belief systems without taking sides, saying that that person can believe whatever they like. That person can believe whatever they like. I can believe whatever I like, and all is welcome. So how about we do that? So going back to my story about this person today in Australia who was wearing a Trump cap and was asked to leave the premises, we really need to start thinking about what is okay and what isn't, because all these different sectors and this divisiveness is brought up to the surface so that we can then find our compassion and we can then find our tolerance. How tolerant can you be for others who do not agree with you? How tolerant can you be for others who do not hold the same views as you? Can you still maintain your center when others are saying something completely different to you? And I know that we're all being tested all the time about being okay with everyone having their own point of view without necessarily deciding that they are wrong and we are right. Of course, when we believe something, we believe we are right. Of course we do. But what we are being asked to do now as our soul evolves is to be tolerant of all views, no matter what those views are. And I can hear many people say, well, how can we possibly be tolerant of hatred? It doesn't mean that we are okay with hatred. It doesn't mean that we say that, yep, that behavior is okay. We just get to a point where we decide that everyone is entitled to their point of view, no matter what that point of view is. Because when we send hate to others, then that just brings in more hate. If we show intolerance to others, that just brings in a more divisive society. The only way that we can have a unified front across the globe is if we start to look at our own backyard and look at who are we intolerant with. Are we intolerant with our parents? Are we intolerant with our children? Are we intolerant with our colleagues? Are we intolerant with the opposing footy team? Whatever. And where in our world can we start to hold tolerance of others? And then slowly we can go up the scale from tolerance to acceptance, to like, to love. Is it possible to love someone who doesn't hold the same view as ourselves? This is what we've been asked to do, is to start to accept everybody for what they believe to be true and make that okay. It doesn't have to be our truth, and we don't have to convince others of believing our truth. And I just want to say that I do not have any political affiliation whatsoever. I do not. All I have an affiliation towards is the truth. And for those people in society who speak the truth and are brave enough to say the truth, they are the ones that are targeted. So when you watch mass media and you watch the typical television stations and the typical news, anybody who is speaking up for the truth will be slammed down really quickly. So what we need to do is be really discerning about what is truth and what is not. And we have to always go back to love. What is loving, what is not loving. And what is not loving is to kick somebody out of a pub because they are supporting a particular political party by wearing a cap. That is not loving. What is loving is to understand that somebody's belief systems does not mean anything about who they are. It's just what they believe. Let's start to be more tolerant, more compassionate, more loving, more caring, not to those people that it's easy to be tolerant and compassionate and loving to, i.e., those who hold the same belief systems as ourselves, but to those that don't, because that is the real test. If that's something that has triggered something in you, I'd love to hear a little bit more. Sending you so